In the heart of the dense African jungle, veiled in mist and mystery, lay the village of Kaya, a place where myths breathed, and the line between the seen and unseen was as thin as a spider's web. The villagers of Kaya, descendants of a lineage as old as the hills that cradled their homes, lived in respectful fear of the superior beings who governed every aspect of their existence. Sefu, a young man whose spirit burned brighter than the evening star, dwelled among them. Unlike his fellow villagers, Sefu harbored a restless curiosity, a yearning to understand the world beyond the decrees of the superior beings and the rigid customs of Kaya. His inquisitive nature often put him at odds with the village elders, who saw his questions as a challenge to the very fabric of their society. As the seasons turned, Kaya prepared for the festival of the ancestors, a time of celebration and reverence. But this year, a shadow fell upon the village just as the festival began. A solar eclipse, rare and ominous, darkened the midday sky, turning day into night. The villagers trembled, whispering that the superior beings were angry, that doom was upon them. The village elders, cloaked in the authority of their age and wisdom, gathered in urgent council. After hours of heated debate, they emerged with a decree that struck the heart of Kaya like a thunderbolt. The superior beings demanded a sacrifice, a soul to appease their wrath. And the soul they chose was Amma, Sefu's beloved. Amma, with eyes like the endless sky and a heart as warm as the sun, was the jewel of Kaya. Her laughter was like rain on parched earth, and her kindness knew no bounds. The thought of losing her tore through Sefu like a spear. He wouldn't let her be taken from him, sacrificed to the whims of beings he wasn't even sure existed. That night, under a blanket of stars, Sefu made a decision that would alter the course of his life and the fate of Kaya. He would journey to the sacred mountain, a place whispered about in hushed tones, a place said to be the abode of the superior beings. He would plead for Amma's life, challenge their decree, and demand answers. Sefu's journey was fraught with peril. The path to the sacred mountain was treacherous, filled with beasts of fang and claw, and trails that wound like serpents through the dense jungle. Yet, driven by love and a fierce determination, Sefu pressed on, each step a defiance of the Fati the superior beings had woven for him. On the third night, as the moon cast a silvery glow over the land, Sefu reached the base of the sacred mountain. Its peak pierced the heavens, touching the abode of the superior beings. "Here," he called out to them, his voice echoing against the ancient stones. "Superior beings of Kaya, I am Sefu, son of the soil, lover of Amma. I defy your decree. Take my soul if you must, but spare Amma, the innocent." The mountain trembled, and a silence so profound descended that it seemed as if the world itself held its breath. Then, a voice, deep and resonant, answered from the peak. "Sefu, your courage has brought you far, but do you truly understand what you challenge?" A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and imposing, with eyes that held the wisdom of the ages and the depths of the night sky. It was Kwame, the superior being of wisdom and justice, a being more ancient than time itself. "Sefu, you seek to defy us, yet you do not comprehend our ways. We will offer you a chance, a trial. Retrieve the sunstone from the heart of the dark forest. Succeed, and we will spare Amma. Fail, and her soul, along with yours, shall be ours." The dark forest was a place of legend, where spirits dwelled and the veil between worlds was thin. It was said that those who entered its depths were never seen again, lost to its eternal twilight. Yet, Sefu accepted the challenge without hesitation, for Amma's life was more precious to him than his own. His journey into the dark forest was a descent into a world unlike any he had known. Shadows moved with a life of their own, and eerie whispers followed his every step. Creatures of nightmare lurked in the darkness, their eyes glowing like embers in the night. But Sefu's resolve was unbreakable. His love for armor was a beacon that guided him through the darkness, a flame that fear could not extinguish. As Sefu ventured deeper into the forest, he faced trials that tested not just his bravery, but the very essence of his spirit. He encountered a river whose waters flowed against the laws of nature, winding upwards towards the sky. Using his wits, he crafted a vessel from the twisted vines and leaves, navigating the river's impossible currents. Next, he stumbled upon a grove where the trees whispered secrets of the past and future. Here, he was tempted by visions of a life without the burden of his quest, a life of ease and comfort. But Sefu's heart remained true. He knew that a life without armor, no matter how peaceful, would be empty. Finally, Sefu arrived at the heart of the dark forest, where the Sunstone was said to reside. The air here was thick with a power that hummed in his bones, a sacred energy that both awed and terrified him. Before him stood a monolith, ancient and covered in runes that glowed with an inner light. Atop the monolith sat the Sunstone, its brilliance like a piece of the sun itself, ensnared in stone. As Sefu reached for the stone, the forest came alive. Spirits of the ancients emerged from the shadows, their eyes fixed upon him. They spoke in a chorus that filled the night. Sefu, son of Kaya, your journey has brought you to the precipice of destiny. Claim the Sunstone, and with it, the fate of your beloved. With a trembling hand, Sefu grasped the Sunstone. Its energy surged through him, a flood of warmth and light that threatened to overwhelm his senses. He felt as if he was one with the forest, the earth, and the sky. The Sunstone's power was a torrent that washed over him, testing his will to withstand its force. In that moment of communion with the Sunstone, Sefu understood. He understood the pain and love that wove the fabric of the universe, the sacrifices made in the name of balance and harmony. With newfound wisdom, he stepped back into the night, the Sunstone safely in his possession. The journey back was a blur, a dreamlike voyage propelled by a force greater than himself. When he finally emerged from the dark forest, the first light of dawn was kissing the horizon, painting the world in hues of gold and rose. Sefu returned to Kaya as a changed man. The villagers, who had gathered to mourn what they believed was his certain demise, gasped in awe and disbelief as he walked into their midst, the Sunstone held high for all to see. The elders, too, were stunned, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and respect. Presenting the Sunstone to the elders, Sefu declared, "The superior beings have spoken. Arma's life is spared. But more than that, they have shown me the depths of our world, the ties that bind us to each other and to the universe. We must cherish these ties, not with fear and blind obedience, but with understanding and love." The village erupted in cheers and cries of joy. Amma, tears streaming down her face, rushed into Sefu's arms. Their embrace was a symbol of their triumph, not just over the trial of the superior beings, but over the fear that had shackled the hearts of Kaya's people for generations. In the days that followed, Sefu, with Amma by his side, led the village into a new era. An era where questions were welcomed, where tradition and progress danced together in harmony. He taught them the wisdom he had gained, the understanding of the delicate balance of life and the universe. Kaya flourished under Sefu's guidance. Crops grew bountifully, laughter filled the air, and the children played under the watchful eyes of the superior beings, who, it seemed, had found a new respect for the people of Kaya. Years passed, and the story of Sefu, the man who challenged the superior beings and changed the fate of his village, was told and retold. It became a legend, a tale of courage, love, and the eternal quest for truth. It reminded all who heard it that sometimes the greatest challenges lead to the most extraordinary destinies, and that even in the face of the incomprehensible, the human spirit can shine as brightly as the sunstone itself. As the days passed, Sefu's actions began to ripple through Kaya, inspiring a wave of quiet revolution. The villagers, who once lived under the shadow of fear, started to view the world through the lens of curiosity and courage that Sefu had opened for them. The elders, too, found themselves questioning the old ways, the rigid adherence to traditions that no longer served the evolving spirit of their people. Sefu and Ama became pillars of the community, guiding Kaya with wisdom and compassion. They encouraged the villagers to seek knowledge, to understand the nature around them, and to find harmony within themselves. The superior beings, once feared and appeased with sacrifices, were now respected as part of the greater mystery of life, their guidance sought in times of need, but not blindly obeyed. However, peace was not to last. A neighboring village, envious of Kaya's prosperity and unity, saw an opportunity in their newfound ways. They viewed Kaya's departure from the old traditions as a weakness, a crack in the armor they could exploit. Thus, under the veil of night, they launched a raid, a swift and brutal attempt to plunder the riches that Kaya had amassed. Sefu, ever vigilant, had anticipated such a threat. He rallied the villagers, not just to defend their homes, but to protect the ideals they had come to cherish. The battle that ensued was fierce, the air filled with the clash of spears and the cries of warriors. But Kaya's people fought with the strength of their convictions, a strength that was more than a match for mere weapons and brute force. In the midst of the chaos, Sefu spotted the leader of the raiders, a giant of a man, his face a mask of rage and greed. They clashed, their duel a dance of death amidst the turmoil of battle. Sefu, though smaller, was nimble and skilled. He had learned much from his trials, and his spirit was tempered like steel in the forge of his experiences. As their blades met, Sefu spoke to the raider leader, his voice calm amidst the storm. "You seek to take what is not yours, to destroy what we have built. But know this, the strength of Kaya is not in its riches or weapons, but in the hearts of its people." The raider leader, taken aback by Sefu's words, hesitated. In that moment of doubt, Sefu disarmed him, the raider's weapon falling to the ground. The fight drained out of the man as he saw the determination and unity of Kaya's people, their resolve unbroken even in the face of adversity. The raiders, seeing their leader defeated and sensing the indomitable spirit of Kaya, retreated into the darkness from which they had come. Kaya had stood its ground, not just as a village, but as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of change and the strength of a united community. In the aftermath of the battle, Sefu addressed the people of Kaya. "Let this night be a reminder to us all. We have faced adversity, both from within and without, but together we have overcome it. Let us continue to grow, to question, and to seek the truth, for it is in this pursuit that we find our true strength." The story of Kaya's defense spread far and wide, a tale of a village that stood up to tyranny, that chose wisdom over fear and unity over division. Other villages began to look to Kaya as a model, a beacon of enlightenment in a world often shrouded in darkness and ignorance. Sefu and Ama, in the years that followed, saw their village transform into a hub of learning and progress. People from far and wide came to Kaya, seeking the wisdom that had saved and prospered it. And the superior beings, once feared, now watched over Kaya with a benevolent gaze, their wrath a distant memory, replaced by a proud admiration for the people who had dared to challenge them, and, in doing so, had found their true place in the world. Sefu's legacy lived on, not just in Kaya, but in the hearts and minds of all who heard his story. He had challenged the superior beings, but more than that, he had challenged the very limits of what was believed possible. He had shown that the greatest power lay not in submission to the unknown, but in the courage to question, to learn, and to love. And so, the tale of Sefu, the man who challenged the superior beings, became a legend, a story that echoed through the ages. It was a story of courage, of love, and of the unyielding quest for truth. A reminder to all that sometimes, the greatest challenges lead to the most extraordinary, epic journey. In the face of external threats and the test of their unity, the people of Kaya, under Sefu and Ama's leadership, emerged stronger and more connected than ever. That is all for this video. Click the subscribe button to get more stories. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. Cheers, friend.